Every year we make a list of songs and we invite bands into our office to cover them. Once a song has been played, it gets crossed off the list, so the later a band comes in, the fewer songs they have to choose from. This is AV Undercover Series 5. Why did you choose this song from our list?
Two reasons. By the time we got the list, it was the only song I'd ever heard out of it, or that I was at least familiar with where it rang a bell. I didn't need to hear it to know what song it was. And I really didn't like the song, actually, and we thought it would be kind of fun to try that. And then now I'd like it. Like, after playing it, it was a lot of fun. But initially I was like, oh man, that song, like, on the radio all the time when I was a kid, I just didn't like it. So I thought we'd take a stab at it. 2, 1, 2, 3.
Move yourself, you always live your life following live presentation of The Breakfast Soup is broadcast on your FM radio at 98.3 KXVMO Radio, Kirksville, Missouri, and on Channel 1 at www.joehaftermedia.com. Coming up on this edition of TBS, another school shooting. United blames the customer, and Missouri lawmakers have a bold new anti-bullying law in the works. Details on these stories, plus a whole lot more, coming up on today's edition of The Breakfast Soup.
Oh, do it again. I like it. Do it again.
Joining us, I shouldn't be laughing, but it's just so bizarre.
And a good Tuesday morning, my friends. Welcome to another edition of TBS. That is short for The Breakfast Soup. It is Tuesday, April 11th, 2017, and hope you're having a great day. And thanks for stopping on by. I'm scarfing down breakfast, so if I seem a little bit discombobulated, my words are paused more than normal. I'm fighting a slight case of indigestion. That's what I get for trying to scarf down a great Subway sandwich. But anyway, enough of my eating habits for the moment. Let's talk business here for a few seconds. Encourage you to check out my website, www.joehaftermedia.com. That's joehaftermedia.com. Also, feel free to drop me an email anytime you like at joehaftermedia@gmail.com. joehaftermedia@gmail.com. And also follow me on Facebook and Twitter, links to which can be found on joehaftermedia.com. Man, what a busy day it is in news. I got a lot that I want to talk about on this Tuesday edition of The Breakfast Soup. And, everything from a school shooting in San Bernardino, California yesterday to United Airlines kicking off a passenger because they overbooked and took him off in a brutal fashion. And then Bill O'Reilly, so I'll talk about him a little bit. Apparently he's being investigated by some authorities. Anyway, we're going to be talking about that. And but I want to start off with something a little bit lighthearted. A little disappointing, but I guess I shouldn't be too surprised. You heard me yesterday on the program, if you were listening, talk about a major announcement coming on GMA this morning, Good Morning America on ABC, in regards to Star Wars. And the announcement left a sour taste in a lot of fans' mouths this morning, as GMA revealed a big Star Wars announcement, which they even teased in a video yesterday, as I said, that was 40 years in the making. With all the huff and puff and hype of the announcement, people were expecting a trailer or trailer release date, new movie announcement, or something else that could be big. Fans everywhere were waking up early and wondering what the big Star Wars announcement could be. Well, they made it this morning, and I want to play for you the audio portion of that right now.
Great Star Wars news for all you Star Wars fans out there. Star Wars Force for Change is celebrating the series' 40th anniversary, collaborating with Omaze on a wonderful campaign to benefit children around the world. And Jesse, you have all the info on this campaign.
That's right, Michael. Fans have the chance to win some awesome Star Wars prizes, all while helping UNICEF and the Starlight Children's Foundation. Here are Mark Hamill and Daisy Ridley. They've got all the details.
Hey guys, Mark and Daisy here, and you're going to want to listen to this.
To celebrate the 40th anniversary of Star Wars, we're offering fans the chance to win not one, but 3 once-in-a-lifetime Star Wars experiences.
For 40 years, you've been the best fans in the world, bringing the franchise to life in ways we never could have imagined, and now it's our chance to celebrate you.
It's the next Star Wars Force for Change fundraising initiative, and it's all to support 2 great causes.
So we've teamed back up with Omaze to give you a chance to win a new Star Wars experience every week of the campaign.
Including an overnight stay at Skywalker Ranch, a chance to appear in the upcoming Han Solo movie, and my personal favourite, a trip to LA to join me and the cast at the world premiere of Star Wars The Last Jedi.
Enter any week, and you're in the running to win the grand prize, all 3 of these incredible once-in-a-lifetime experiences.
So let's start with this week's prize, a trip to Skywalker Ranch.
Skywalker Ranch. It's been a while since I've been there, but fortunately, we've got Daisy to tell us all about it.
I'm sorry?
You've never been to Skywalker Ranch, have you, Daisy?
For your chance to visit Skywalker Ranch and be entered for the chance to win all 3 grand prize experiences, click the link or go to omaze.com/Star Wars.
And since every winner gets to bring a friend, you could even invite Daisy. Something tells me it would be like she's seeing it all for the very first time.
And thanks to fans, Star Wars, Force for Change, and UNICEF have raised more than $9 million for vulnerable children around the world, and they've helped save lives of over 30,000 children suffering from malnutrition. Guys, that is what I call the power of the Force.
You've been to the ranch? Huh? You've been to the ranch out there?
I have. When we were shooting Red Tails, George Lucas brought us out to the ranch to kind of meet the Tuskegee Airmen and have fun out there. So, cool. Yeah, you guys will have fun.
Well, I did say as a daughter of a Tuskegee Airman, I bless you for that, for Red Tails. That was quite a film.
Now, I'm not knocking UNICEF or ABC or Disney for what they're doing. It was just, I felt duped. As a matter of fact, I felt like Ralphie Parker from A Christmas Story when he got the Ovaltine ring.
A crummy commercial? Son of a bitch.
Yeah, that's kind of how I felt there, Ralphie. But anyway, GMA did trick a few people, including yours truly. But again, it was all for a good cause. So let's hope this fundraising event is successful this year. But maybe next time, don't alienate the fan base, okay? That was really a low blow. Well, excuse me while I chew my lettuce here. Sad news out of California yesterday. As a matter of fact, this story was unfolding just as I was signing off yesterday, in which a gunman committed a murder-suicide act at a California elementary school. It seems that the suspected gunman behind that horrific event had a tumultuous marriage with his wife before he gunned her down yesterday, and the woman's mother described him as a ticking time bomb. 53-year-old Cedric Anderson had a history of weapons, domestic violence, and possible drug charges before his marriage to Karen Smith, age 53, who was a school teacher at North Park Elementary School in San Bernardino. Smith's mother told the New York Daily News that the real Cedric came out after the seemingly happy couple got married just a couple of months ago, back in January. He was a wolf in sheep's clothing, Irma Sykes told the newspaper. She said her daughter had been friends with Anderson, though, for about 4 years before they got married. He was so kind to her while they were dating, she had no idea, Sykes said. But within a month of being married, Anderson accused Smith of infidelity. Well, Anderson's Facebook page told a different story of their marriage. As a matter of fact, he often gushed about Smith, calling her an angel while professing his love. He depicted a relationship that showed no signs of trouble. And another photo showed the two of them on March 4th in what he described as a date night. He also wrote about his religious devotion. And then his last public post was barely a month ago, on March 15th. The relationship, though, came to an abrupt end when Smith left him about a month and a half ago, about a month and a half after their late January wedding, police and family members said. He had other motives. She left him, and that's where the trouble began. She broke up with him, and he came out with a different personality. She decided she needed to leave him. Excuse me. Well, yesterday, Anderson walked into the North Park Elementary School where school staffers recognized him, school district officials said, and he followed the proper protocol and got into the school through the front office by saying he had to drop something off for Smith. Anderson then walked into the special needs classroom where Smith was teaching and opened fire. His estranged wife was his target, and 2 boys, ages 8 and 9, were also hit as he was firing at her. San Bernardino Police Chief said he emptied and reloaded the gun before turning it on himself. The 8-year-old student later died from injuries. Sykes said her daughter was a dedicated teacher who took up the profession about 10 years ago after her 4 children had grown up. Diane Abrams, a substitute at the school, told the LA Times that Smith dedicated her life to her students. Man. So, this guy sounded like trouble right from the beginning, and regrettably, he took out a couple of innocent lives in the process. So, there we have it. What bugs me about this, in addition to the shooting, is the guy was a religious fanatic. Okay? He was a fanatic. Regardless of what religion he was, which was presumably Christianity, and nobody is saying anything about that. But if he had been Muslim, he would be demonized by many in the national press or demonized by members of the public. But you don't hear that, do you? Anyway, I want to talk more about that on a future show of TBS. Elsewhere, by now you've probably seen the footage of United dragging a passenger out of his seat. It seems that 2 separate videos, one showing aviation security officials dragging a passenger out of his seat and down the aisle, and the other revealing him bleeding and disoriented after the ordeal went viral on the internet. Well, as the social media clamor rose, United's CEO issued a statement regretting the need to reaccommodate passengers, which served only to worsen the matter by adding tone deafness to brutality as descriptors for the airline. So, I'll play for you a soundbite on Bill O'Reilly's show last night that really, really disturbs me. And he gives another insight into Bill O'Reilly's personality. My opinion, Bill O'Reilly is an asshole. Okay? I don't like to use that language, but there's no way to sugarcoat it. And this is further proof that he is an asshole. And I'll play it for you right now.
Personal story segment tonight, another airline horror story. Sunday night, Chicago to Louisville overbooked. United Airlines offers money to folks to give up their seats. No takers. Then the cops come on board and remove a guy by force.
Oh my God! Oh my God! Oh my God! Oh no! Guys, my God! What are you doing? No, this is wrong! Oh my God! Look at what you did to him! Oh my God!
Joining us, I shouldn't be laughing, but it's just so bizarre. Joining us from the Fox Newsroom here in the building in New York, Fox News correspondent Rob Schmidt.
Now, I admit, everybody does react differently to situations, but even if that is your reaction, you should not be doing that on national or international television, Mr. O'Reilly. There appears to be at least some question as to whether the forced removal of the passenger was permitted under United's standard contract of carriage, which spells out many reasons in Rule 21 why passengers can be removed, none of which appear to mention overbooking. And while United apparently the Department of Transportation are viewing this as a circumstance where someone was involuntarily denied boarding, the notion of boarding is not clearly defined in the contract either. The fine print does spell out in Rule 25 what kind of compensation passengers are entitled to in the event they are involuntarily denied boarding. So putting aside the question of whether he was already boarded or not, those provisions are governed by federal law, and they provide some basic protections. So, but I have a feeling some big lawsuits are going to come out of this in the near future. That's kind of a summary of what's going on in the world of news at the moment. As a matter of fact, I was going to bring up the 5 things you need to know to get your day started, and I'll do that for you right now. But while that's loading, let's find out briefly what's going on in the news from the AP, and then CBS's What's in the News. And hopefully by then, I will have digested enough of this food that will allow me to talk somewhat normally on this Tuesday morning. So bear with me, my friends, as we roll on through another exciting edition of The Breakfast Soup. Okay, where's the AP News Minute? There we go, AP Top Stories.
This is AP News Minute. Speaking at the G7 meeting in Italy, Secretary of State Rex Tillerson strongly condemned the chemical attack in Syria. Tillerson questioned Russia's involvement in the attack and urged that we cannot let this happen again. Turkish media reports that a large explosion occurred in Turkey's mainly Kurdish city of Diyarbakir. Plumes of smoke were seen from buildings. The cause of the explosion is not yet known. What's widely reported to be the biggest flower in the world could be seen in bloom at the National Botanical Garden in Belgium. The flower, which is known as the Titan arum, is notorious for the unpleasant smell it exudes and only lasts for a few days. And elephants sprayed motorists and passers-by with water in Thailand to welcome in the Buddhist New Year, Songkran. The holiday, known as the world's biggest water fight, is the longest and most important holiday of the year in Thailand. Emily Roseman, Associated Press with AP News Minute.
A crummy commercial? Son of a bitch.
Most of us look at a campus and see a campus. When Scott Paper Company looks at a campus, it sees Pete and Linda Kingman. Linda has always liked shopping. Of course, marriage and a budget meant a transition from dress shops to supermarkets and a whole new range of interests. She found out that Scott Tissue's got 350 more sheets than other leading brands. Linda will never understand how one husband with just the ordinary number of fingers and toes makes such a mess. That roll of Scott towels is 15 feet longer than most other leading brands. Important to a girl with a sloppy husband and a strict budget. Pete asked Linda what she'd like for their first anniversary. Something thrilling, memorable, and cheap, she said. So for 6 months, he'll take the clothes to the laundromat. Scott knows a lot about people, and Scott's got the papers to prove it.
What's in the news? Mistakes on a plane.
It was a wild scene.
I'm Steve Kathan, CBS News.
My God, what are you doing?
And the wild scene on a United flight in Chicago is all over social media, and there's a storm of outrage over the airline's decision to use force to remove a man from an overbooked flight.
You see the man hit his head on the armrest, and he looked like he was knocked unconscious, and then they pull him off the plane.
Passengers shot video. John Clausen was sitting right in front of him.
I couldn't believe that United had brought it to this place. And they're treating him like someone with no value whatsoever. They're treating him like a dog that you'd pull out of something.
United's CEO says he's upset by what happened, but many say there needs to be more done than that.
You never want to see a passenger removed without consent when the passenger hasn't done anything wrong.
Henry Hardevelt is a travel industry analyst.
This is yet another bad PR move by United. The situation wasn't handled well. Why didn't the agent offer even more money? I know they went up to $800 per passenger. Why didn't the agent offer even more money to get people off the plane? Everybody has their price.
What this will cost United Airlines in the long run is now difficult to calculate. Now this.
One day, many years ago...
Taste this. Chocolate and peanut butter. Hey, it's great together. You know who'd like this? Noah. You mean the guy building the ark? Yeah, because he loves chocolate and he loves peanut butter. Let's bring him some. As soon as it stops raining.
And so the world would have to wait for the two great tastes that taste great together in Reese's Peanut Butter Cups.
Mom, can I have some Sunny Delight?
Nothing else invites you like. Aw, you want to talk about it? Nothing else can make things bright.
Yeah.
Nothing else delights you like Sunny Delight.
What's in the news? I'm Steve Kathan, CBS News.
Hey, friends. Do you have something on your mind that you'd like to say to me? Feel free to drop me an email at joehaftermedia@gmail.com.
Joining us, I shouldn't be laughing, but it's just so bizarre.
$11:27 on this Tuesday morning as we make our way through the breakfast soup for the 11th day of April. And that disappointing announcement about Star Wars on GMA this morning, well, it calls for bad lip reading. And here is a bad lip reading from The Force Awakens. Remember that movie from about a year and a half ago? I'll play it for you right now on this edition of TBS.
Quit squawking and leave.
How am I still living? I mean, you hit me right in my face.
Hit him again.
Ow! Dang it, Ricky.
Hold up. You know Ricky?
He's a demon machine, and if he keeps shooting,
Shut up.
yeah, I will end you, demon.
This morning, I wanted a frap, and they wouldn't make it.
Every time I come here, you're buying a frap. It's not important to get a frap.
But it makes me happy.
Big fat deal.
Seriously, there must be something that makes you happy.
Not really.
A pickle?
Mm-mm.
The zoo?
Never.
A sassy vagrant? 6 kittens in a bag of water? Poop on a stick?
That's disgusting.
Are you serious?
You're so freaking weird.
I like monkey. You're the monkey.
That's nice.
Ooh, your chest is very hairy.
Yeah, you like that?
You better believe it, babe.
We ought to hang out tonight.
I get off in 1 hour.
Okay. I'll be over there at the bar just being hairy. Come on. Just bit and cut my jacket with his nail.
You know I'll turn this ship around.
He's always touching on me. I'm not. I licked your fries. Han! Lick my fries.
I'm coming back. Yes, destroy them both.
Don't fight the war, you'll just wear yourself out. You'll get your autograph.
Can I buy you a drink? Whatever, weird girl. I mean, it would be great if we could play with my kissy bits. I always have real funky breath. I wonder what you smell like. Guess like cinnamon and something. It puts the lotion on its skin. You get it? Guess not.
Meow, 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 meow.
Learn how to speak.
Meow, 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 meow.
Does anybody understand what he says?
He's got some kind of stupid accent, I think.
An accent.
I shot a clown.
I feel like that's not related.
I don't know.
Yeah, we can hear you. Ugh.
I think Robert stole his sister's trinkets, and he's embarrassed.
He's an idiot.
Actually, I think he said tomorrow is his birthday.
Oh, happy birthday, Bill. I don't mean that. What do we got there?
Ninjas.
Did you say ninja?
Yeah?
They have karate and can snap your shins clean.
Serious? I'm scared now, right?
They'll pluck out our eyelids.
Wait, could you still fall asleep?
How are those your first words?
I doubt you could.
Oh, really? No?
You know what? I tried to make chocolate shoes.
Why? Because the guy's a tool and he most likely sleeps in an L position.
Hey, listen, baby, you know I need that puppet bird.
I think you'd better run along before it gets dark.
You know, I can see your nads.
Uh-oh.
They have a gift shop?
Yeah.
Be right back.
Did that shop have any food?
Or a hat? Or like a cool belt buckle?
Or maybe a bacon flute?
Yes.
No, but try this.
Why is your neck wet?
I don't want to relive it.
They got a sick blouse on sale. You've been really bad company.
I made you a bird. It's a finger puppet.
No!
As you can see, I never painted it. I would have given it to you, but you've never trusted birds. Quit looking at me like that.
Okay. Yeah, I think I'll just go home and have celery.
Look, he likes it. Uh-oh. This bird picked out your eyes.
That's something different.
No, I'm a Vulcan.
Vulcan, my ass.
There you have it, The Force Awakens. Bad lip reading style. Well, coming up in just a few minutes, hopefully I'll have the Dave Ross Show for you, as well as the Osgood File. I do have that for you, as well as the CBS World News Roundup. Mike Rowe has his weekly commentary coming up next. But you may be wondering, if you're listening to this via computer, which you probably are right now, and wondering what's the deal with the title of today's program. It says, Amish Everywhere. Can't believe I forgot to tell you this story. Happened yesterday afternoon after the program. Of course, I got hungry, as I often do after doing a show, or during a show, and I decided, well, I'm going to go to Dairy Queen. I haven't been to Dairy Queen for quite a while. As a matter of fact, I haven't been to the local Dairy Queen since it was remodeled last year. Oh, excuse me. So anyway, I went to the Dairy Queen, and this was about 2 o'clock in the afternoon, a little bit after 2. So I figured, rush hour traffic will be over, the noon rush hour will be done. No problem. I go in, there is a line from the counter all the way back around the corner of Amish people, Amish family. I kid you not, there were at least 12 to 15 members of this family there, getting their lunch. Now, I'm not belittling them getting their lunch or in this manner or whatever, but I was not expecting that. And it seems like every time I was making a little bit of progress, here comes another member of the family around the corner. Got the ice cream yet? Got the sandwich yet? You know, things like that. And I waited and waited and waited for about 10 to 15 minutes probably before I got to the counter, made my order, and I said I wanted to go. Now, either the cashier didn't hear me, or they brushed it off or forgot about it. Well, lady comes out with a tray of food, and I can see that it's for me. Starts to bring it over, and I'm just shaking my head, and she's like, "What?" I said I wanted that to go. You know, it's in a bag, unless you're going to give me the tray to go. I don't really want the tray. And I was like, and then she looked at me like I was the one causing the imposition here. I mean, really? How about the dozen or so Amish that were in front of me? I'm not belittling them. I'm just saying they needed to speed up the process a little bit more. I mean, and all that remodeling, and it's still cramped. I think they even made it smaller because they took out they opened up another doorway, which was good, but it was still a cramped store. Well, with that music fade out, I think that'd be a good time as any to run this segment of the Mike Rowe program, episode 50, called Size Matters. Let's find out what this is about on this edition of TBS.
Hey there, it's Mike Rowe, and this is The Way I Heard It, but wait, it's not merely The Way I Heard It. This, my friends, is episode number 50 of The Way I Heard It. A benchmark. A goal has been realized, and I couldn't be more pleased. I wanted to celebrate by writing something significant. So I sat down last week on a plane, which, of course, really sitting is your only option. In a situation like that, I spend a lot of time on planes, and I rack my brain, and I've written the story I'm about to read for you right now. It's called Size Matters. Because it does. It's a PG-13, maybe PG. It's a family-friendly podcast, but every now and then we do dabble in a bit of innuendo. So, full disclosure, there is a touch of innuendo into this one, but it's good, clean fun. Size does matter in the podcast itself as well, so I did want to take a moment and specifically thank each and every one of you for coming here each and every week and listening to my little stories. I love writing them, I love posting them, I love reading them, and I love reading your comments after you listen to them. So thanks for that. A year ago in March, when we started this little experiment, I posted 4 stories, one a week, like I always do, and 100,000 people downloaded them. And I didn't know if that was good or what, but it was nice. We kept writing, we kept posting. This last March, posted 4 stories, one a week, like we always do. 3.3 million downloads. I'm not bragging, I'm just saying, apparently size does matter, because somebody who claimed to be very important in Podcastlandia called me to say, "Mike, look at you go." And I said, yeah, well, what do you know? And he said, "Don't screw it up." And I said, okay, I'll try not to. So that's my goal. Don't screw it up. Size also matters with regard to today's sponsor, my buddies at ZipRecruiter. You've heard of ZipRecruiter. Everybody now has heard of ZipRecruiter because, well, they're big. And they're big because they work. And they work because they're easy to use. If you're trying to find the right person for the right job, then I don't have to tell you what a pain in the neck it is. Social scientists have conducted endless studies proving that hiring people is a nightmare. Well, it's difficult, right? And in 2017, your options are simple. If you want the right person for the right job, you can go to 200 different job sites and you can post that job everywhere and drive yourself crazy, or you can post it at ZipRecruiter.com/row. ZipRecruiter.com/row. It's free, right? It's free. Nothing I say is going to ultimately matter unless you try it and like it, and now you can try it for free. ZipRecruiter.com/row. If you're looking for the right person for the right job and you don't want to drive yourself crazy and you understand that size matters, ZipRecruiter.com/row. Episode 50 of The Way I Heard It. Bill had a big one, no doubt about it. But Craig's was bigger. Not by much, but in a contest where every inch mattered, Craig had more inches. So Bill made a few adjustments, and soon his was once again bigger than Craig's. But then Craig made some adjustments of his own, and now Craig's was not only bigger than Bill's, it was also more interesting to look at, thanks to the enormous tip on the end. But Bill had one more trick up his sleeve, and when the measuring finally stopped, one of these men would proudly claim the world's biggest erection. When it comes to New York City architecture, size matters, and no one knew that better than Bill the artist and Craig the businessman, two famous architects who became bitter rivals in their quest to erect the tallest building in the world. Their former partnership had been legendary. Bill was the artistic genius, brilliant, but mostly void of charisma. Craig was the consummate businessman, handsome, silver-tongued, and highly motivated. Together they had been a perfect team. Craig landed the high-profile commissions, and Bill designed the impressive, groundbreaking structures that made them both rich. Unfortunately, as their bank accounts grew, so did their egos. You see, Craig was also an accomplished architect in his own right. He didn't appreciate the constant newspaper articles that raved about Bill's artistic genius. And for his part, Bill resented being seen as the boardroom lightweight, incapable of handling big deals. He hated the way his clients always looked at Craig whenever they talked about money. Eventually, the artist and the businessman went their separate ways in a very public, very nasty divorce. But then, as fate would have it, each architect landed the commission of a lifetime simultaneously. In 1928, Bill was contacted by a business tycoon who wanted him to design the tallest building on Earth. Bill agreed and submitted plans for a soaring tower in Midtown Manhattan, 809 feet tall. Shortly thereafter, Craig agreed to design the Bank of Manhattan Trust building down on Wall Street. According to Craig's plan, he would build a grand tower 840 feet tall. Well, when Bill learned that Craig's design was 31 feet taller than his, he quickly added 2 extra floors to his blueprint. Craig responded by adding an extra floor to his. Bill followed suit. Soon, both men were flirting with a design over 900 feet, and the public was transfixed. Ultimately, though, Craig had the advantage because the base of his tower was broader than Bill's and could support more floors. But then Bill found a unique way to stretch his upper floors, adding extra height and dramatically altering the aesthetics in a way that nobody had ever imagined. When the final designs were ultimately approved, everyone assumed the battle was done. Bill's tower in Midtown would be the tallest building in the world, and Craig's tower on Wall Street would be a close second. But a man like Craig could never live with second place, especially at the hands of his former partner. After both towers were seemingly completed in 1930, Bill appeared victorious. But then Craig whipped out his secret weapon, a giant tip called a lantern, along with a flagpole, bringing 40 Wall Street to 927 feet, 2 feet taller than Bill's Midtown Tower. That made 40 Wall Street the tallest building in the world, and Craig rejoiced in every glorious inch for about a month. Because a man like Bill could never live with second place, especially at the hands of his former partner. So Bill had constructed a top-secret spire, 185 feet tall, code-named the Vertex. Its existence was known only to a small group of steelworkers who had worked on it in secrecy and stored the massive pinnacle in the elevator shaft. On May 22nd, 1930, just 30 days after Craig laid claim to the world's biggest erection, Bill rode a private elevator to the 71st floor of his Midtown masterpiece. There, he looked out upon his former partner's looming behemoth 6 miles to the south and gave the signal. A giant crane hoisted the Vertex into place, making Bill's erection the biggest in the world and flipping his former partner the biggest middle finger ever raised over Manhattan. But of course, erections are unpredictable things. And while size certainly matters, it is by no means the only measure of satisfaction. Bill, for instance, in his haste to make his bigger, overlooked something that Craig, the businessman, would have never ignored. He forgot to get a signed contract with his client. Now, the tycoon who had hired him to design what he called a monument to myself refused to pay Bill his full commission. Bill took the tycoon to court and eventually got his money, but in the genteel days of boater hats and pocket fobs, a lawsuit was considered an ungentlemanly way to conduct business. Thus, the brilliant architect named Bill Van Allen destroyed his reputation by fighting over the size of his commission. And even though his iconic tower is now considered by many to be the most significant structure to ever grace the Manhattan skyline, the tycoon, named Walter, turned out to be his final client, and the Chrysler Building, his last public erection. As for Craig, the businessman, he was well paid for his efforts at 40 Wall Street, but his building is no longer the second tallest in the world, or the third, or the fifth, or the 25th. It's fallen to number 33. But still, it's worth remembering that for one glorious month in the spring of 1930, nobody had a bigger one than Craig Severance, the architect and businessman who relished the art of the deal more than the artistry of his chosen trade. Something perhaps for the current owner to reflect upon. Another New York builder who has from time to time ruminated on the importance of size. A man whose last name now appears on the facade of 40 Wall Street in big gold letters. Enormous letters. Maybe the biggest letters in the whole world. The Trump Building. Okay, they may not be the biggest, but they are definitely huge. Anyway, that's the way I heard it.
Mike Rowe on this edition of TBS, 11 minutes away from 12 o'clock noon. The CBS World News Roundup coming up in just a few moments, along with the Osgood File. Dave Ross Show is just around the corner. And let's see. How about some weird news for you today? Let's try out this story from Dyer, Arkansas. Somebody is trying to give away a 2-story, 13,064 square foot mansion to a charity or nonprofit organization. There is one big but in all this, and that but is, in this instance, goes something like this. I understand that it was built in the 70s for a convicted religious cult leader and his wife, that later of whose embalmed body was kept inside the house for several months while he waited for her to rise from the dead. Yeah. Little stipulation there. It's also a bit of a fixer-upper. The front rooms have been gutted, the roof leaks, vandals have stolen copper wiring and plumbing pipes, teens have broken in and taken photos of themselves. The home was built and owned by Tony and Susan Alamo, but Mike and Brenda Morrill bought the 122-acre Alamo compound in 2000 for a little over $750,000. Several buildings were on the property, which is 16 miles northeast of Fort Smith, a building where Alamo devotees made sequin denim jackets for Hollywood stars, is now an 18-unit apartment complex. Susan Alamo, thank you, computer, I really wanted to see that. Susan Alamo died of cancer in 1982. For about 6 months, Tony refused to bury her, telling his followers that she would rise from the dead. Well, in 2009, he was found guilty on 10 counts of taking young girls across state lines for sexual acts. Some of them, as young as 8 years old, have been forced to become Alamo's wives. He is now serving a 175-year prison term. With Alamo in prison, the Morrills held a reunion for people who had grown up on the Dyer compound, but that was a weird reunion. About 60 people attended, including family members, who, as a matter of fact, one of them lives in the state of Georgia, lived the first 14 years of her life at the compound near Dyer. She said the rules were strict. Public meetings were common at the reunion. She wouldn't make herself go back into the mansion. When she thought about it, she could almost hear the screams of children echoing in her head. Yeah, I don't see too many buyers going for that particular mansion. I don't even think too many people will be interested going in there. I'd be afraid to. Here's the Dave Ross Show for this Tuesday, the 11th day of April, and away we go.
Good people at Washington Federal. My wife and I choose to bank with Washington Federal for a few reasons. They're responsible with my money, which is always a good thing for a bank. They actually like face-to-face interaction, and they believe a bank should be the foundation of a healthy community. Washington Federal, invested here. Member FDIC, equal housing lender. Why did it really happen? By now you've seen the video of the passenger who was dragged from an overbooked flight at O'Hare Airport. I have to say, I've always wondered what would happen if somebody decided not to take the money. Now we know. And travel experts are baffled.
Why didn't the agent offer even more money to get people off the plane? Everybody has their price.
Yes, except veteran travelers know that game. They'll hold out for $3,000. Maybe the gate agent was tired of having to cave into that kind of blackmail and decided to take a stand. Or maybe it was something else. Maybe it was the effect of airport culture. Chicago O'Hare, like every airport, is basically a police state. They check your ID, they go rifling through your stuff, you submit to genital touching. If they say belt off, shoes on, you do it. If they say belt on, shoes off, you do it. Arms up, feet apart. It's like what happens to you across town if you drive with a broken taillight. An airport is a community floating on fear. And for employees whose nightmare is the one time they let the wrong person on a plane, an angry passenger is a dangerous passenger. End of discussion. One bright spot is that thanks to social media, I'm pretty sure the going price for voluntary deboarding just went way up. But in the long run, airport culture will win, and most of us will follow orders because it's still a scary world. And in a scary world,
we follow orders or people die. It's that simple. Are we clear?
Yes, sir.
The Osgood File. This is Charles Osgood. Lucky are the people in this world who love what they do for a living. What John Schumacher has loved since he was a kid has been books. So if you are looking for him, the first place to look might be a library. As he points out,
being in the library, being in this magical, sacred place is one of the most rewarding things.
But as our CBS News colleague Dean Reynolds found out, he's not an easy man to keep up with.
John Schumacher's job keeps him on the road about 200 days out of the year.
My job is to tell teachers and librarians and principals and superintendents and parents about the power of letting kids read the books that they want to read.
This 35-year-old librarian may be the foremost advocate for school-age reading in the country. Schumacher's actual title is Ambassador of School Libraries for Scholastic Book Fairs, and as such, he tours schools all over the country, but even that broad label is too narrow for his impact. We were with him when he visited the Kendall Elementary School in Naperville, Illinois, where there are plenty of page-turners and enthusiastic readers.
As you're reading the book, your heart is growing. As you're reading the book, your soul is billowing out.
And not just your heart and soul, he told those kids.
Do you all love to smell books? I mean, there is nothing better than the smell of books.
Over the years, he's given away more best smellers than he can count.
Would somebody like this and you can take it home and smell it?
Dean Reynolds gave Ambassador Schumacher the last word.
By putting a book into the hands of a child, we can put hope directly into that child's hands. We can put love directly into that child's hands. And we can show them, look, you have the power to make this world better.
The Osgood File. This is Charles Osgood on the CBS Radio Network.
CBS World News Roundup is just a few seconds away. Here are some things to consider as we head into the news. A new museum in Sweden is dedicated to celebrating failures. It's expecting to close any day now. Quarterback Colin Kaepernick says that he'll now stand for the national anthem. Pretty generous offer considering it's the off-season. And finally, being a Mariners fan, let's try that. That's not the one I wanted. What was it? Oh, seen on Twitter. Facetious is the only English word that uses all of the vowels in order. Yeah, think about it. Facetious. A-E-I-O-U-S. S. S is not a vowel. Come on, Joe. Wake up. Okay. It's time for the World News Roundup.
Trump administration's pressure on Syria.
This is a president that's not afraid to act.
And Russia.
Clearly, they have failed in their commitment to the international community.
Wisconsin manhunt.
Find the suspect and keep all of our communities safe.
The green jacket fits Sergio Garcia.
I get to call myself Master Champion. That is amazing.
Good morning. I'm Steve Kathan with the CBS World News Roundup. 57% in a just-released CBS News poll approve of U.S. airstrikes against Syria, but most are wary of any deeper involvement. The Trump administration has sent mixed signals on Syria days after the American Tomahawk missile attacks. We're live this morning with CBS's Stephen Portnoy.
The top diplomats in the Trump administration say defeating ISIS is the top priority. But what about Bashar al-Assad? Senator Lindsey Graham was on NBC.
Regime change is now the policy of the Trump administration. That's at least what I've heard.
On Fox News, National Security Advisor H.R. McMaster said while he believed Assad should go,
we're not saying that we are the ones who are going to affect that change.
Most of the president's advisors, including the Secretary of State, say the Syrian people need to decide Assad's fate. But Nikki Haley, the president's UN ambassador, told CNN,
there's not any sort of option where a political solution is going to happen with Assad at the head of the regime.
All of this indicating the vision here still isn't entirely clear. Steve?
Well, Secretary of State Tillerson is working diplomatic channels on Syria, first at the G7 summit in Italy, then it's off to Russia in a showdown with the main backer of President Assad. CBS's Margaret Brennan.
This week in Moscow, Secretary of State Rex Tillerson is expected to press Vladimir Putin on how his government failed to prevent the sarin gas attack.
I don't draw conclusions of complicity at all, but clearly they've been incompetent, and perhaps they've just simply been outmaneuvered by the Syrians.
Tillerson's message is that Moscow must enforce the 2013 deal it brokered to prevent Assad from using chemical weapons.
Well, the Trump administration has condemned yesterday's church attacks in Egypt. ISIS has claimed responsibility. Live to the Foreign Desk in CBS's Vicki Barker.
Even as surviving worshipers were scrubbing the blood off the religious wall paintings, the U.S. was calling barbaric the attacks that killed 40 at 2 Coptic Christian churches. And Egypt's army chief turned president Abdel Fattah al-Sisi was declaring a 3-month state of emergency. But al-Sisi has had no success in ending an escalating ISIS campaign against the Middle East's biggest Christian population. And it's not clear whether these new measures, further restricting civil liberties, will work either. Steve?
Well, now to Wisconsin, where the hunt is on for a man who police say has stolen guns and made threats. CBS News correspondent David Begnaud is in Janesville.
When Joseph Jakubowski mailed his 161-page manifesto to President Trump on Tuesday, he marked the occasion.
There it is. You see, it's getting shipped. Revolution.
3 hours later, police say Jakubowski broke into the Armageddon gun shop and stole 16 high-end rifles and handguns. Investigators suspect Jakubowski has been highly agitated recently over political issues.
He's angry at all government officials, whether it's the president or whether it's local officials or whether it's law enforcement.
Well, it's swearing-in day today for the new Associate Justice on the U.S. Supreme Court, Neil Gorsuch. CBS's Bill Rakoff is in Washington.
Gorsuch's presence on the high court means the return of a 5-4 conservative lean. He'll be sworn in twice, once in the Supreme Court in a private setting and later at the White House, where Gorsuch will take the oath from a man he once clerked for, Justice Anthony Kennedy.
And he joins the court in time to hear one of the top cases of the current term, a religious rights case from Missouri. Delta Airlines says operations are back to normal today. Hundreds of cancellations over the weekend followed thousands late last week because of stormy weather at the airline's Atlanta hub. President Trump was flying back to Washington last night when a military transport plane came within about 1,000 feet of Air Force One. Pool reporter Steve Herman was on board the president's plane.
The Associated Press photographer by the window made an exclamation, something along the lines of, "Whoa."
When I looked out the window, it was already veering off. It was slightly below Air Force One.
Well, there will be court action today in the case of the Charleston church gunman. CBS's Jim Crisula.
22-year-old Dylan Roof is set to plead guilty to 9 state murder charges. The deal calls for him to receive a life sentence on those charges. Roof received the death penalty back in January after being convicted of federal hate crimes for killing worshipers at a historic African-American church in Charleston, South Carolina in June of 2015.
Well, a breakthrough performance that was expected years ago happened yesterday at the Masters Golf Tournament. CBS's Steve Futterman is at Augusta National.
After nearly 20 years of high expectations and repeated disappointments, Sergio Garcia finally won a major championship.
Once and for all for Sergio.
It was a day full of drama for Garcia.
Sergio is feeling it.
There were moments where it looked like it would be Garcia's day, an eagle on the 15th hole to tie the contest. But there were other moments where it looked like it would be the same old story.
He thought that ball would fall left.
With a chance to win on the final hole, Garcia missed a relatively easy 7-foot putt. That forced the playoff and set the stage for Garcia's dramatic win.
Sergio Garcia has won his first major.
For Garcia, there was both elation and relief.
It's been a long wait, but it's that much sweeter.
Steve Futterman, CBS News at the Masters in Augusta.
A new character enters TV's Sesame Street neighborhood today. Here's CBS's Deborah Rodriguez.
Hi, Julia. I'm Big Bird. Nice to meet you.
The new Muppet on Sesame Street may seem a little different.
Julia has autism, so sometimes it takes her a little longer to do things.
Elmo echoing Julia's puppeteer, Stacey Gordon, who's raising her own child with autism. She tells 60 Minutes.
Had my son's friends been exposed to his behaviors through something that they'd seen on TV, they might not have been frightened.
With 1 in 68 children diagnosed on the autism spectrum, a redheaded 4-year-old named Julia has a lot to teach our children.
This is fun, Julia!
Deborah Rodriguez, CBS News.
Gas prices have gone up about 9 cents a gallon over the last 2 weeks. The latest Lundberg survey finds the national average for a gallon of regulars now $2.43. Police in Woodstock, Georgia, are looking for former big league outfielder Otis Nixon. Nixon, who's 58, left home Saturday for a golf course but never arrived. Jews are observing Passover. CBS's Robert Berger is in Jerusalem.
The festive Passover Seder meal recounts the story of the Exodus from Egypt. Rabbi Yechiel Eckstein says it's a message for the whole world.
And that's the whole essence of the Passover, that we take this message of God's bringing us out from slavery into freedom
and pass it on to the next generation, as the Jewish people have for some 3,500 years. Robert Berger, CBS News, Jerusalem.
And that's the CBS World News Roundup for Monday. I'm Steve Kathan, CBS News.
It just occurred to me I had the wrong news feed that whole time. I think I downloaded one from yesterday. It sure sounded like yesterday's newscast. Well, we'll try it again here in a few moments, all right? Meantime, take care of some other business on this edition of TBS. Boy, I think I got up a little too early this morning. Anyway, how about, what do we do next? How about the top 5, okay? So let me get the drummer out here. We'll get all set up and raring to go with another edition of the top 5. And there's the drum roller. And where's the intro music for it? Where's the intro music? There's the intro music. Okay. Top 5. Here we go. Top 5 list for today. And the top 5 list, the topic is the top 5 dumb tricks to teach your dog, okay? Top 5 dumb tricks to teach your dog. Number 5, feed the lobster. Yeah. Number 4, sit up and negotiate a raise. Number 3, roll over an IRA. Actually, I think that makes the dog a little bit smarter, wouldn't it? Number 2, shake a martini. Maybe not that dumb if he's really good at it. And the number one dumb trick to teach your dog, bark like that he has to be taught. I mean, actually, I did know of a dog that we did have to teach how to bark. My mom's Akita. That dog would hardly bark, but whenever he did, you knew something was out there. Anyway, let's try the CBS World News Roundup one more time. Hopefully I have the correct feed this time.
Trump administration's pressure on Syria.
This is a president that's not afraid to act.
And Russia.
Clearly they have failed in their commitment to the international community.
Wisconsin manhunt.
Find the suspect and keep all of our communities safe.
The green jacket fits Sergio Garcia.
Okay, I did have the right feed. It just sounded like yesterday's newscast. Okay, guess we won't do that again. Well, this is a really confusing episode, isn't it, of TBS? Well, let's try to work our way through this together, friends. What do you say we take care of some market news? Now, 7 minutes after 12 o'clock. And what do I do with the market news? Oh, yeah. Here it is. Okay, time for market news for this Tuesday.
Next stop in our quest for robot-proof jobs, Ohio. From Marketplace in Washington, I'm Kimberly Adams in for David Brancaccio. The White House is putting trade front and center of its jobs policy. Just last week, China, under pressure from the president, agreed to open talks about improving its trading relationship with the U.S. But when it comes to the issues facing the American workforce, technology, not trade, may be the bigger challenge. By one estimate, $2.7 trillion in American wages is for work that could easily be done by robots, software, and machines. This week, our David Brancaccio is driving across the Midwest in search of resilient jobs, the ones that stand a decent chance against automation in the workforce. Yesterday, Pennsylvania. Today, Ohio.
I've come to the famous conservatory in Oberlin, Ohio, to meet a guy with a job that the data suggest is immune to the robots. Tom Lopez is a composer. A choreographer in California sent a video of a rehearsal. Tom's job, create the score from the cues in the recording.
That yellow sort of rectangular blob is a couch. It's a household item that normally people sit on, and it's strange that it's tipped over like that. So why did that happen?
Tom, a human composer, not some algorithm, parses the stage props in the video. A dancer also wears a yellow kitchen glove, which the composer connects to a theme of household drudgery, inspiring this part of the score. The fanciest computer visualization system on the planet will not, I repeat, not make connections like that.
I like working with patterns, but what makes music interesting and attractive, I think, to most audiences are the slight variations from the pattern. It's where you break the pattern and break the mold.
And decide whether that new sound is any good. Computers are clueless at judging artistic merit. That has not stopped some scientists from creating an artificial intelligence that tries. And even if computers end up composing telephone-on-hold music, technology may not take composer jobs away. Tom finds it's creating more.
There are new opportunities in composing and music technology that didn't exist 10 years ago. Everything online. Computer games.
This is one of the strongest arguments for those who hope this blast of technology hitting the workforce now will all work out for the best. Tech can create further opportunity for those with the skills and the education to take advantage. That's Tom playing the ARP 2600, the synth that made the R2-D2 sounds in Star Wars, by the way. My colleague, Katie Long, has the data on this job from an automation study by the McKinsey Global Institute.
Music directors and composers, 0% automation potential. Total in the workforce, 23,000 nationwide.
Less than an hour away, I get bundled into a police car, the back seat, no escape.
You can leave me in here forever, it'd be awesome.
A ride along with Bronson Lilo, an officer with the Sandusky, Ohio PD. Automation loves routine, and Officer Lilo's work is very seldom routine. Robots like controlled environments, and robots don't like flexibility, for instance, on a traffic stop.
Sometimes when you talk to people, maybe, they just experience a loss in their family, or maybe something serious is going on and they're, going a little above the speed limit because they need to get back to their house and make sure everyone's okay. Like, there's a time and a place to write a ticket.
So, police and sheriff's officers, automation potential?
A low 19%. Listen to how many nationwide, though, 635,000 positions.
This data considers only present technology, yet automation continues to evolve. Are we ready for a RoboCop if that becomes possible? Experts say one important limit to technology in the workplace is social acceptability. Tomorrow to Michigan to find a robot-proof teacher. From the road, I'm David Brancaccio for Marketplace.
Think you know which jobs are the most and least vulnerable to automation? Head over to marketplace.org/robotproof to take a quiz and see what % of your job could be robotized. Now, let's do the numbers. Asian markets closed mixed today, with Japan's Nikkei down about 50 points, almost 0.3%. The Shanghai Composite Index ended the trading day there, up 0.6%, about 20 points. European markets are mixed at the moment. The German DAX is down slightly. London's FTSE 100 is up about 46 points, about 0.6%. Ahead of the market open in the U.S., Dow and S&P futures are mostly flat. The Japanese industrial giant Toshiba has warned about its future as a going concern as it published its overdue financial results. The company reported a loss approaching $5 billion in the last months of 2016 due to problems at the U.S. nuclear power business it owns, Westinghouse. BBC economics correspondent Andrew Walker filed this for us.
The publication of Toshiba's financial results has twice been postponed as it struggled to assess the financial damage done by delays and cost overruns at the nuclear business in the US. It has finally managed to make an announcement, but those figures have not been approved by the company's auditors. That's thought to be unprecedented for a major Japanese company, and the speculation that it might lead to the shares being taken off the Tokyo Stock Exchange. Toshiba was already trying to recover from an accounting scandal in which its profits had been overstated by a total of $1 billion. The company's trying to reinforce its finances by selling assets, and it has received a new offer for its computer chip business from Foxconn, the Taiwanese firm best known as a contract manufacturer whose clients include Apple.
Andrew, thanks. Foxconn is reportedly offering up to $27 billion for that segment of Toshiba's business. Our producers are Justin Ho, Katie Long, and Daniel Shin. Our engineer this week is Ben Tolliday. And I'm Kimberly Adams with the Marketplace Morning Report. From APM, American Public Media.
Listeners, we adore you. We make the show for you, but in this age of data, we actually know very little about how you use podcasts. If we knew just a bit more, we could do our jobs better, I think. So could you do us a favor? Our friends at the Knight Foundation have helped us put together a short, easy online survey that we'd like you to take. As a favor to me, would you consider doing the survey? It's at apmsurvey.com. That would be very nice of you. Again, that's apmsurvey.com.
April 11th, 1951. During the Korean War, President Harry Truman relieves General Douglas MacArthur of his command in Asia.
General MacArthur is one of our greatest military commanders. But the cause of world peace is much more important than any individual.
MacArthur, who had challenged Truman's war policy, later gives his farewell speech before Congress.
Old soldiers never die. They just fade away.
1814. Napoleon Bonaparte abdicates as France's emperor. He's banished to the island of Elba off the coast of Italy. That's where Napoleon remains for the next 9 months until he mounts a brief return to power the following year. 1945. During World War II, American soldiers in Germany liberate Buchenwald, one of the first Nazi concentration camps. 1979. Idi Amin is deposed as Uganda's president, as rebels and exiles backed by Tanzanian forces seize control in the African country. and 1970. Apollo 13 blast off from Cape Canaveral, Florida, on NASA's third manned mission to the moon. But that mission is later cut short when an explosion cripples the spacecraft. Apollo 13's crew manages to return safely to Earth. Today in history, April 11th. Tim McGuire, The Associated Press.
Damn it, Jim, what the hell's the matter with you? Other people have birthdays. Why are we treating yours like a funeral?
Bones, that ought to be lectured.
Very, very many happy reasons.
16 minutes after 12 o'clock on this Tuesday afternoon, the 11th day of April 2017. And what do you say we take a look at celebrity birthdays for today? And before I run down the list of celebrity birthdays, if you're celebrating your birthday today, happy birthday, and you share your birthday with these famous people. They include actor Joel Grey of Cabaret, turns 85 years old today. Widow of Robert F. Kennedy, Ethel Kennedy, is 89. And Ellen Goodman, syndicated columnist, is 76. Actor Bill Irwin is 67. Singer Lisa Stansfield is 81. And finally, New York Yankees first baseman Mark Teixeira turns 37 years old today. Those are some celebrity birthdays on the 11th day of April 2017. I have Marketplace Tech News coming up in just a moment. Right now, let's see. What do I have for you? How about the Showbiz Minute? 17 minutes after 12.
AP Showbiz Minute. Fox News' parent company, 20th Century Fox, is investigating a sexual harassment claim against presenter Bill O'Reilly. The investigation is in response to a complaint lodged by Wendy Walsh, who was formerly a regular guest on the O'Reilly Factor show. O'Reilly has denied the allegation. Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2 has started its worldwide tour in Japan. Actors Chris Pratt, Zoe Saldana, and Dave Bautista were joined by director James Gunn for a premiere and press conference in Tokyo, where Pratt said that playing Peter Quinn was, quote, a dream job for me, adding, I feel like the luckiest guy in the world. Kylie Jenner is getting an e-reality series of her own. The cable network has announced plans for a Keeping Up with the Kardashians spin-off titled Life of Kylie. E! says the 8-episode series will document the life of the 19-year-old makeup entrepreneur as she juggles being a celebrity, a businesswoman, and a teenager. The show is set to premiere this summer. This is Matt Kemp with AP Showbiz Minute.
I'll pretend I didn't hear that.
Next stop in our quest for robot-proof jobs, Ohio.
This Marketplace podcast is brought to you by Dell's U.S.-based small business advisors. They can help you upgrade to powerful new Dell PCs with Intel Core processors. Powerful PCs are just the beginning of a great partnership. Call 877-BUY-DELL now to contact a Dell small business advisor today. That's 877-BUY-DELL.
And by Encapsula. Every day, websites of all sizes are attacked by criminals who use giant botnets to scrape website content, break into databases, and bring sites down. But thankfully, you can protect your site against potential security threats with Encapsula. Encapsula is a cloud service that works to block attacks against your site while delivering your content to customers faster. And now, our listeners can try Encapsula free for 1 month simply by visiting encapsula.com/tech.
From APM, I'm Ben Johnson, and this is Marketplace Tech. Tensions between Russia and the U.S. are pretty high right now. Military action in Syria is part of those rising tensions, as is the specter of election interference. This week, one of the world's most wanted hackers was arrested by authorities in Barcelona, Spain. He is from Russia. His name is Pyotr Levashov. He has been wanted by U.S. authorities and others for spamming attacks with networked zombified computers. He's also been implicated in Russia's interference with the U.S. presidential election. Dustin Volz of Reuters has been reporting on this. We caught him at a cybersecurity conference in Virginia. Dustin, who is this guy and how did he get brought in?
He's well known in the
criminal cybersecurity community as Peter Severa. He's someone who has been for decades a spam kingpin of sorts, someone who has been able to make a lot of money by creating these spam botnets, these networks of infected computers, and infiltrating tens of thousands of devices really around the world. He was arrested while vacationing with his family in Barcelona. He's now waiting further criminal proceedings.
Who is saying that this guy's connected to U.S. election hacking by Russia, and what's the evidence? What do we know?
In short, Russia is saying that. Russia's state-backed media organization, RT, had a broadcast over the weekend which said that Severa was arrested because of some connection to the presidential election hacking. However, there's no indication that that's the case from the U.S. Justice Department. On top of that, however, Severa was involved in creating a computer virus known as Kilios, and it was actually used in a 2012 Russian election to sort of spam out different political messages to people. And I think that connection as well, the idea that some of his code had been used in previous elections, also gave rise to the idea, oh, maybe he's also connected somehow to the 2016 U.S. presidential election hacking. But again, it seems like that is not the case here.
What's the general business impact of this guy's work?
Severa has been listed as a top 10 most wanted spammers in the world for many years now by cybersecurity communities that watch this. You know, one of the things that they did is they would be able to spam advertising for penny stocks and sort of coordinate pump and dump schemes in a way to inflate their value, likely into the millions of dollars.
Dustin Volz, he covers cybersecurity for Reuters. Dustin, thank you very much for talking with us.
Thank you, Ben.
The social contract is a phrase that you might usually associate with citizens and governments, but as the influence and power of internet service providers and multinational tech companies grows, our friend and gig economy expert Arun Sundarajan of the Stern School of Business has been thinking we should shift the way we look at social contracts in 2017. He's here to talk a little bit more about that. Arun, thanks for coming by.
Always a pleasure, Ben.
All right, so explain to me your theory here that Google, Facebook, and now Verizon and I, as a regular user, have engaged in social contracts.
The kind of relationship that I see emerging between consumers and Google or Facebook is very different from what you normally see with a corporation. It's much deeper. There's a much greater level of trust.
And how does this trust form, though, as a user? How do